people that are here today are Rich Walters and Shay Dunn. Rich is important for our community because he graduated from Parkersburg High School in 1998. He played football here, and he went on to play football at WVU, and they're both going to have great stories today on addiction and how alcohol and drugs affect your life. Let's give it up for them.
All right, thank you, brother. Hey, everybody go ahead and be seated. All right, stand back up. All right, sit back down. I'm just kidding. I've never been able to do that. I like that. It's pretty cool. How's everybody feeling today? Are you excited that it's Friday? Yeah? Good, good, good. Well, my name's Rich Walters. I'm from Parkersburg, West Virginia. I'm the National Marketing Director for Boca Recovery Center. I'm a person in long-term recovery. I've been sober from drugs and alcohol since April 28th, 2014, and for that I'm forever grateful. You guys are the best. I can tell you guys are going to be a lot of fun. Go ahead, Shay.
I'm Shay Dunn. I'm also in recovery. I just celebrated 3 years sober, October 2nd. Thank you. You can go ahead. We came to talk to you guys about addiction. Obviously, addiction is the fact or condition of being addicted to a particular substance, thing, or activity. I'm sure a lot of you guys have been impacted by addiction. It's something that's very, very common today. Show of hands, who here has been affected by addiction?
Come on now, come on. Who's been affected in one way, shape, or form? You guys are all like, hey, should I say I've been affected or what? Listen, I can hear you talking. It's just real simple. The hands go up or they stay down. Who's been affected? Who knows somebody that's overdosed on drugs? All right. How many? No. Listen. This is going to be the quiet. Now, I'm going to tell you something. We're not police officers and nobody's going to get in trouble. Who here has tried drugs and alcohol? Come on. I saw her nudge your elbow. I'm seeing a lot of elbow nudging going on. That's not all right. That's not all right. All right, so, hey. All right, now listen. Hey, I want to tell you guys it's dangerous. You guys are playing Russian roulette already, all right? Because I'll tell you the first time that I ever tried drugs and alcohol, come on, simmer down. I was 13 years old. I went to Hamilton Junior High. Hamilton Wildcats. All right, so I went to Hamilton Junior High, and the first time I ever tried drugs and alcohol, I was 13 years old. And I was at a party with some friends, all right? Listen, I want to know if this sounds familiar. I was at a party with some friends, and they was all drinking, and they were smoking bud, weed, right? You guys seen that, right? 5 or 6 of them were. Now, I knew that it was wrong. I'd been warned. As a child, I grew up during the Just Say No campaign. I knew that it was wrong. But I was worried about what my friends would say if we went back to school and they went and told everybody. In 7th grade, I'm already in 7th grade. This is my first year in junior high. What would they say to everybody if I didn't get drunk or high with them? Would everyone call me a square? Would everyone call me a loser? So I tried it. And it changed the course of my life for the next 21 years. It changed the course of my life for the next 21 years. What started off with alcohol and weed ended up becoming taking a needle and sticking it in myself about 40, 50 times a day. Injecting heroin, injecting cocaine, injecting ice. Hey, settle down. I know everybody's excited. It's Friday. But what started off with just a little bit of booze, a little bit of alcohol, and some weed ended up destroying my life. Go ahead, Shay.
You can hit the next slide. Do you guys think addiction discriminates? Do you? You think anybody's an exception to the rule? It doesn't matter if you're popular, if you're not popular, if you're smart, if you're pretty, funny, athletic, if you come from a good home, if you come from a bad home. It doesn't discriminate. Attorneys, doctors, really, really nice people that completely lose themselves to addiction. And I heard you guys all gasp when Rich said that, he would poke himself 50 times a day with a needle. We don't look like that today. You guys don't look like that today. Nobody just wakes up and says, oh, I'm going to, become a heroin addict. It's gradual choices in your life that lead there. And it happens all the time. When you see someone that's homeless and they look dirty and you just know that they're a drug addict, they started right where you are. They had choices when they were your age that led them to where they are now. They're not bad people. They're sick.
Guys, I like to think that I'm smart.
He's not.
I graduated from college, though. I like to think that I'm somewhat smart, right? You think a college graduate would be a smart person? If you're thinking of a smart person, a college graduate would be a smart person, right? Right? Well, I love to think that I'm pretty. So I look in the mirror, I think I'm real pretty, right? Well, Shay's really pretty, and she became an addict, right? Funny. I love to think that I'm hilarious. I like to think that I'm a comedian. Back up.
Jay.
Come on now, Jay. Athletic, I played football for WVU. Good home. Now, I don't come from a broken home. I come from a home where my mom and dad still are married. I had a swimming pool growing up. I had a nice house and a big yard. I played sports all year round. I was always popular. I had girlfriends. I did good in school. I mean, from the outside looking in, you would have never thought that addiction was going to destroy me. You would have thought it's going to be somebody else. It'll never be him. He's got this life thing down. But you see, I didn't. Something was going on inside of me that I was embarrassed to tell anybody about. I had some real spiritual and mental issues going on. And I decided to self-medicate. Insecurities, fear, all these different things going on in my life, which are normal emotions for a teenager. But I went about them the wrong way, and I rolled the dice. And when I rolled the dice, I became an addict. I became an alcoholic. It's just that simple. What started off as a choice ended up turning into a disease, and it ripped my life to shreds.
He came from a good home. His parents were together. My parents were also together, but my dad was an addict. My mom was not. We're going to tell you guys today that no matter what's going on at home, no matter what your parents do, you'll have the choice to not be like them, good or bad. So I have two sisters. My oldest sister got a full ride scholarship to college, and I'll tell you later that I ended up in prison. And we both had the same chances in life. I just made the wrong choices. So like we said, it doesn't matter what's going on at home. It doesn't discriminate, but it also means that you have your own choice to become whatever you want in life. Go ahead, Jay.
All right, so this is a picture of me in college when I played at West Virginia University. Like I said, I played football here for the Big Reds. I started all 3 years. I started half my sophomore year, started the rest, dominated my senior year, went on to play at West Virginia University. And like I said, I was always, guys, I didn't have a problem having friends. I mean, that was never my problem. I always had lots of people around me. I always had the biggest parties. We always had a lot of fun. There's some teachers in this crowd that could probably confirm that, but I don't want them to. But I had a lot of fun, and life was really good. And you would have never thought that a person like me would destroy themselves. Well, what's really going on? What's wrong? What happened? I had life made in the shade. I had to come from a good family. I knew right from wrong, right? I love to play sports, man. I love to compete. I love to compete. And I love to be around good people. And I'll never forget the first time I ended up in jail, and I was sitting there on the bed, and I was thinking to myself, what happened? What happened to me? I can't believe this is what it's come down to. This is awful. And I just kept going back to jail. What happened? What happened? What's going on? I can't believe it, because I was your age saying that'll never happen to me. Never in a million years will I use a needle. Never in a million years will I go to jail. Never in a million years will I try this. Never in a million years will I steal from my parents. Never in a million years would I hurt my family on purpose. And I crossed all those lines. I crossed all those lines. And we're going to talk about it here shortly.
Whenever I was in high school, I was president of the student council. I was on homecoming court my freshman year, National Honor Society, varsity basketball, varsity volleyball. I was telling you a little bit about my home life. Whenever I was in the 8th grade, me and my sister were a year apart, and we were having a sleepover. So imagine like just 8 preppy girls sleeping over at your house, or boys. Boys don't be having girls sleep over at your house. But anyway, and we woke up to the task force in our home. We didn't know that my dad was a drug dealer. We had no idea. It seemed like we had a normal home. And we woke up having a sleepover with all these men in suits raiding our dad's home. So after that, whenever I'd go to school, girls would be mean, and they would say things about my dad, and I would get defensive, and I would start trying to fight. I don't know, I'd get beat up a lot because I'm not that tough, actually. But it led to a life, where I thought it was okay to fight. I thought it was okay to break rules, and I thought I was defending my dad. And then later, when my emotions, started coming out because of it, I thought that I didn't have to listen. Look what my dad did to me. He doesn't love me. He went to prison. I can do whatever I want. I didn't have respect for my mom, and it was all just hurt that I didn't know how to deal with. So I went from being this fun-loving girl to a girl that didn't think she had any worth. I would cut myself. I had multiple suicide attempts, drug addiction. All the choices that I made in high school really, really impacted my life long term. I didn't think that I would ever be happy. I didn't think I would ever not feel sadness, I had a lot of emotions whenever I was a teenager, and I know that's really common. It's hard to admit, but it's very, very common. We went to schools where a lot of people have had suicidal thoughts. If I could go back and tell myself anything whenever I was in high school, it would be that feelings don't last forever. Sadness doesn't last forever, and your life matters no matter what. And that no matter what my parents do, that does not define who I am, and it doesn't make an excuse for the choices that I make in life. My sister has never done a drug in her life, and I went to prison. Go ahead, Jay. Thank you, Jay. You're doing a wonderful job.
You're the man, Jay.
72,000 Americans died last year from drug overdoses. Actually, that says form drug overdoses. That's misspelled, but go ahead, Ray.
All right, so 72,000 Americans died last year from drug overdoses. You know what that looks like? That means that somebody right now, at this moment, as we're all sitting here with our hearts beating and our eyes open, taking a breath, watching this presentation go on, at this moment right now, somebody's mother, father, son, daughter is taking their last breath because of a drug overdose. That also means that 8 minutes from now, somebody else will. And 8 minutes after that, somebody else will. Every 8 minutes, somebody's dying of a drug overdose. That is fact. That is fact. 72,000 men, women, and children died in America last year from a drug overdose. Does anybody know what the Vietnam War was? You guys don't even know what the Vietnam War was? All right, so we know what the Vietnam War was. 58,200 people died in that war. 58,200 people died in that war, which lasted a while. And 72,000 died last year. And we're on pace to break that record this year. Now, I'm proud to announce in Wood County, West Virginia, overdose is down 42% from last year. All right. And that's because we have a community of champions. This is the school of champions. This school breeds champions. Yeah. This school, hey, who's going to win the football game tonight? That's right. But We're down 42% from last year. And every other place in America is skyrocketing on the rise. Now, that's not because we have a lack of drugs in Wood County, West Virginia, because we don't. We actually have a lot of drugs in Wood County, West Virginia. That's because we have a community that's tired of seeing their people die. That's because we have a community with a fighting spirit. And that's because we have a community that says this ain't going to happen to us any longer. We got to do something about it, and we have.
1 out of every 12 teenagers struggle with substance abuse. So 1 out of every 12 of you already struggle with substance abuse. And you may not even realize it yet. People ask me, like, how did your addiction start? And I can tell them, like, well, I smoked some weed and I drank some beer, and then the next thing I know, I was addicted. So you may not even realize it yet. You don't know when it's going to get a hold of you. Which time is one time too many? You know, they say just say no, but that's the reality of it. If you do it once, you don't know if it's going to grab a hold of you that time or the next time or the time after that, and you're just taking risk after risk after risk. And then when you get a little bit older, 1 out of every 6 adults struggle with substance abuse, so the chances are even higher.
And there's a reason for that. You see how it says 1 out of every 12? That's you guys, teenagers. And 1 out of 6 of every adult. And it's because the number doubles, because all you teenagers pick up that drugs and that alcohol for the first time. You say, it's never going to happen to me. It's never going to happen to me. I know better. I can prevent this from happening. And it happens to you. It happens to you. It happens to a lot of people.
And this one gets me every time. If your parents are addicts, you have an 8 times higher chance of becoming an addict. My dad was an addict, and I guess I don't know why I didn't connect trying drugs with drug addiction. It seemed so far-fetched to me that I would ever become an addict, when really I had a way higher chance of becoming an addict because I was predisposed to it. So you should really think about that. Trying drugs, drug addict. If I never try the drugs, I'll never become a drug addict. If I do, I'm taking the chance. If your grandparents are addicts or alcoholics, gambling issues, addiction can, take different forms. You have a higher chance of becoming it, but you don't have to allow it to happen. You have the choice. Rich said earlier, addiction starts out as a choice and it leads to a disease. So you do have the power to choose, and then eventually you will lose the power to choose. It will become everything that you can think about. You will be obsessed with it. Nothing in this world will compare to how much you want drugs and alcohol, and that's a horrible, horrible feeling.
How many people in this crowd have had a mom, dad, brother, sister, stepmom, stepdad, grandfather, grandmother, aunt or uncle that has been addicted to something? Get them up. Exactly. And a lot of people got their little hand down like this. And I get that. It's embarrassing. And you're embarrassed about it. And nobody wants to admit it, because nobody wants us to think that, wow, if I stick my hand up, people are going to think that my family's less than perfect. Because we all want everyone to believe our family's perfect, right? It's okay to be transparent. It's okay to talk about it. How are we ever going to be able to help anybody if we don't talk about it? All right, so these are some of my lovely mug shots. That's me right there. Now that's what happens when drugs and alcohol take control of your life.
Someone said earlier that what did she say? He looks
She
like
said I look like a tired baby. And I basically was a tired baby. But drugs and alcohol had destroyed my life on so many different levels. Now, I hadn't seen my little girl in a couple of years. And it wasn't because I didn't want to. It was because it had me. And once she transformed into what's that right there, I didn't even want her to see me in that shape. I didn't even want her to see me. And I used to sit, and I used to get so high, and I used to get so drunk and cry, and cry, and cry, and cry by myself, and cry myself to sleep because I couldn't be there for her. And there was nothing I could do about it. My mind, my body, and my spirit was hijacked. And there was nothing I could do about it. Now, I never dreamt that I'd end up in jail. But I did, because like I said, I graduated college. I had 6-figure jobs. I had life made in the shade, right? Here I am, 31 years old, getting arrested multiple times till I'm 34. Multiple times, all the time. You want to talk about something embarrassing? You want to talk about something that levels your pride? You want to talk about something that levels your ego? You want to talk about something that just rips you apart? When that jail door shuts and you're sitting there with you on you, and the only thing that you could think about is what you've done to your life and done to your family, it makes you want to kill yourself. That's where drugs and alcohol take a person like me.
And these are my mug shots. I just look possessed, not like a sleepy baby, I guess. Like I said, you know, I had a lot of potential, and I ended up 25 years old facing 22 years in prison. I was like, whenever I was young, I didn't even like staying at friends' houses because I would get homesick, you know. I loved my mom. I didn't want to be away from her. And it went from, in high school, you know, they would have to put me in the hospital for a few days because I would, you know, have a suicide attempt or something. And I remember crying, saying I didn't want to be away from her. I got sentenced to 4 years in prison, you guys. I'm not a bad person. I promise I'm very nice. I'm very kind. Addiction took all of that from me. It was the scariest thing I've ever been through. I was in there with violent people, murderers, child molesters, people that are mean. They'll spit on you, steal your stuff, stab you. That was the scariest thing I've ever went through. And the sad thing is, it saved my life. I was so far gone at home, my family could no longer be around me. They had taken my son away from me, and I love my son more than anything in the world. I was putting him in danger. So it was a step up. It saved my life. I didn't die. Because the only two places that you'll go when you become addicted to drugs is you'll get buried, you end up in prison, or hopefully some of us get sober. And it's very hard. Our lives will never be normal. We have to go to multiple meetings a week. We give back to our community that we've harmed. We don't lead normal lives today. We're blessed, but it'll never just be normal. We don't drink alcohol. We don't smoke weed. We cannot do anything. Go ahead, Jay. These are some drugs. I mean, you guys have said that you've seen them. But if you really look at it, so these are pills, meth, heroin. Looking at pills, it doesn't seem like it's a pill. It doesn't seem like it's that bad. It doesn't look that bad. It doesn't look that dangerous. But when I tell you that so many people start out on pills, whether it be prescribed by a doctor legally or trying them, or you know, psychiatrists will give you Xanax. I was highly, highly addicted to Xanax because my anxiety was really bad. Those things are addictive. Even if it's by a doctor, they can be addictive. And then the next thing you know, you're trying something else, and then you're trying meth, and then you're trying heroin. And you don't know what it's laced with. You don't know what it's going to do to you, you know. That's why we lose so many lives. But if you connect all these together, then I think you guys have a better chance of realizing how dangerous that it is. Go ahead, Reg.
Yeah, these are just, all right, so here's a couple pictures of some people overdosed. This woman and this man right here overdosed. Look at this little baby sitting in the back seat. When they rolled up on them and found these people barely clinging on to life, they found this baby sitting back there wondering what the heck was going on. It's a sad picture. It's a very, very sad picture. The one up here, these two people just falling out on the sidewalk, just like, go walk out in front of PHS, you see two people laid out on the sidewalk from a drug overdose. It happens everywhere. It's alarming. But I'm happy to say that these two people right here got about 3 years sober, 2 or 3 years sober right now. And this picture went viral. Very sad day for them, but it was also a humiliating experience, which obviously gave them the pain that they needed to change their life.
It seems far-fetched, but I overdosed with my son. He was about a year old, and someone found me. I was completely out of it. I had peed myself. I was, not breathing, and the ambulance came. With my son in my arms, I overdosed. I'm not kidding you. I'm a good mother today. My mom would cry to me and say, if you love your son, you'll stop. And I would cry back and I would say, do you think I choose this? Because like I said, I made the choice whenever I was your age. And then I could not choose any longer. It full-blown took a hold of me. So the choices that I made when I was your age, and then people look at you a certain way. I was an addict. Some people say you should let them die. Don't Narcan them. You guys know what Narcan is? Don't Narcan them. They deserve to die. They're worthless. They'll never change. So not only did I not have the power to choose anymore, but people were saying that I wasn't worth anything. I wasn't worth, helping me to breathe whenever I did overdose. And I'm a good person today. I'm a very good mother today. I help raise his children who both of their moms died of overdoses. This is the reality of it. These people are something. They are worth something. They need help. I got in multiple wrecks with my son. I endangered him multiple times. Rich and I didn't know each other back, a couple years ago. And I'm telling him a story whenever we meet. And I'm like, I got in this really bad wreck in West Virginia. It was a 5-car pileup. He's like, wait a minute, you were the crazy lady on the interstate? And I was like, do you know me? He was like, you almost killed my dad. I had to make an amends to his dad from 5 years ago. I was that strung out. I was a danger to society. Go ahead, Jay.
I have 3 kids. My oldest child's the only one that's ever been alive during me using or drinking anything. I had to do with a lot of soul searching and try to find peace and forgive myself and for the things that I'd done in her life. And my 2 youngest, they've never seen me like that, but both of them have lost their mothers. That's just the way it is. They died from this stuff. And the sad part about it is that everybody says it's not going to be me, and the alcoholic says that at least I'm not strung out on pills, and the pill addict says at least I'm not a heroin addict, and the heroin addict says, well, at least I'm not the meth head, And that's the way it works, to justify and rationalize every bad thing going on in their life all the way to the grave. That's reality.
Go ahead, Jay.
All right, so this is me today. This is what I do today. I speak in front of large volumes of people all over the United States. Last week I was in Dallas, Texas on iHeartRadio. I get to travel all over the United States and speak in front of, wow, who knows, thousands and thousands and thousands of people each and every year. I got a large social media platform. Between the couple of pages that I run on social media, I have about 50 or 60,000 followers. I get to share a message of hope. I get to share a message of inspiration. I get to lead people to the light today. I don't have to be a taker. I can be a giver, and I get to give back to this world. My whole life I was a taker. I was selfish and self-centered to the core, and everything in this world revolved around me, and I didn't care who I had to hurt to make myself feel better. I didn't care who I had to hurt. And I regret it. But my life today is amazing. This right here, this was the 3rd annual Walk Against Heroin at the city park. I'm the organizer for that. And we have a lot of big things that go on in our life. Like I said, I get to travel the world. I get to travel the U.S. today to tell the story that I was so ashamed of. People want me there. They call me and say, can you please make it here? We want to hear you. We follow you. We watch you. We hear you. Great, all this other stuff. And I'm just so blown away that people respond to my message like that. I'm so blown away that something that was so embarrassing, something that was so shameful, something that had me bonded with guilt, something that had me bonded with fear is one of my greatest assets today. I bet you bottom dollar that there's a lot of kids in here that are depressed. How many of you have felt depression? How many of you felt depression? How many of you ever felt suicidal? Just get them up. Don't be ashamed, man. Ain't nobody going to judge you.
Anxiety.
Anxiety. Exactly. Any other emotions? You see, the problem is that some people don't know how to deal with those negative emotions, and they feel like they're going to last forever. And the feeling becomes so intense and so real that it consumes the person. And the only thing that they feel like they can do to escape that is to try a substance. And that's how it all starts for a lot of people. For a lot of people. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
Also, Sorry for interrupting you. Addiction can come in different forms. So ours was drugs. I have a 16-year-old little sister. You know, addiction, mental illness, you know, those things run in my family. She's seriously perfect. She's 16. She has like 104% in all of her classes. She went for a doctor's appointment. She has an eating disorder. She had to be hospitalized. She's been hospitalized for 10 days. She's 90 pounds. Her heart was at 22 beats a minute. She's not getting enough nutrients. I know these are things that you guys go through. It might come up in different forms, you know, self-harm, you know, eating disorders, addiction. Don't just settle for those feelings because you can overcome it. You know, it breaks my heart to see her like that, but I understand. All of those things are connected. We just need to learn how to deal with our feelings. And if you guys don't think that each and every one of you guys, you have your own journey, everything that you go through will serve a purpose later in life, even if you don't realize it right now. If you ever thought that I'd be like, okay, well, it's okay that I feel sad because one day I'll be able to help someone. I never thought that. Okay, it's okay, I'm going to prison. Yeah, right. No way. I thought I would die in there, for real. But it does serve a purpose. You guys can choose to make the right decisions today and learn how to overcome all of those things. That way you can help someone else overcome them. And you're not alone. You're not unique. I mean, you are unique in your own little way, but your story, someone else has that same story. We learn that all the time. You hear these crazy stories that people tell that when they were in active addiction, and we're sitting there like, this is everybody's story, you know? We're all so common. Go ahead.
You know what I hear a lot of in recovery, people talking about when they went back on their own experience, they went back to when they first started using drugs, drinking, and they said they just never felt comfortable in their own skin. They felt like they were separated from the pack, like they didn't fit in with their peers. Does anybody feel like they don't fit in?
You can feel like you're better than, or you can feel like you're worse than, or you can feel like you're smarter than or less smart. Either way, you're distancing yourself from other people, saying that you're different.
Right.
Whether it's good or bad.
You come in here, you can separate yourself from the pack in 1,000 different ways. You can say, I'm prettier than all of you, I'm uglier than all of you, I'm smarter than all of you, I'm dumber than all of you, I'm better than all of you, I have more money than you, I have less money than you, I'm tougher than you, I'm weaker than you. You could separate yourself in a lot of different ways. Don't separate yourself from the pack. Find your similarities with your peers, but also be unique at the same time. It's a crazy balance.
And be kind to each other. I was mean sometimes in high school. I would like fight at the drop of the hat like a little weirdo. I would never fight today. Be nice to each other. Like, I've had to apologize to so many people, and it was all because I was dealing with my own inner emotions. You know, I'm not a mean person. I just didn't know how to react to life correctly. I hate hearing about young kids being mean to each other now. Like, come on. Sorry. Go ahead, Jay. This is me today. Whenever I got home, like I said, I'm 3 years sober now. I run a Facebook page called From Prison to Purpose. We get to go and speak at schools. I get to help other people, other women. I love doing it, but I cause so much damage in the process. We talk about it all the time, how much time we wasted. I still look in my son's eyes today, and it's taken me a lot to not feel guilty and to be able to be a mother. Because I just want to hold him. I don't even want to discipline him. I just want to keep telling him I'm sorry. He had to come visit me in prison. I remember whenever he was 2 or 3, and I was in the jail. I wasn't in prison yet. And I was begging my mom, please bring him to see me. I need to see my son. And that was a selfish decision on my part. And she brought him, and he didn't understand the glass. You know what I mean? And he was just smacking the glass, screaming for his mommy. He doesn't understand that. He didn't know that I loved him. He just knew that he was hurting. That's something that, you know, we'll have to deal with forever now, you know? I did damage to my son. If you guys as parents are addicts, I promise they love you. They love you so much. We just need to get them help. Go ahead, Jay. Here we go. The things we wanted to remind you guys of today, and hopefully we made an impact, as addiction doesn't discriminate, and you can break the cycle no matter what is going on, no matter what your parents have done, no matter what your grandparents have done, you can break the cycle. Your choices now will affect you later. I know that sucks. When you're a kid, you're just like, I didn't care about my choices, you know? Like, I wanted to get good grades and I wanted to be a good kid and stuff, but at the same time, I didn't really realize that my choices would impact me later because I made bad decisions. I was so impulsive. Every choice that you make today will impact you when you're an adult. And there is help. Whether it's you, whether it's a loved one, there is a solution. There is help. You just have to be able to reach out and ask for it. You want to add anything, Rich?
Yeah, I'm here to tell you guys right now that no matter what they're telling you out there, if they're cutting you down, if they're telling you that you're no good, if they're telling you that your family is no good, if they're telling you that you'll never amount to nothing, it's all a lie. Every single last one of them, they're all liars. That you can amount to anything you want to be. You can do whatever you want to do in your life. There are going to be people to say, hey, since your mom and dad's been arrested so many times, since your mom and dad's such a drunk or such an alcoholic or such a drug addict, you ain't going to be worth nothing. You're going to turn out just like him. They're all liars. Because you're the strong ones, you're the chosen ones. You're going to step up and change this world. There's going to be people tell you out here that you're too depressed, you're too ugly, you're too stupid, and all these different things to be able to change the world and do what you want to do. They're all liars. You can do what you want to do in your life. You can accomplish what you want to accomplish in your life. I know that each and every one of you kids had dreams and aspirations growing up, and you can fulfill those tenfold. All you got to do is stop worrying about what your friends are going to think if you fail. Stop worrying about what your friends and your peers are going to think if you succeed. And you got to push forward in your life and take what's yours. You got to do the right thing, and you got to excel, and you can't worry about what other people think about you. Guys, I'm a felon. I'm a person who's been locked up. I'm a person who's also a college graduate and a felon, so they X out each other. Guess what? I'm the national marketing director for one of the best treatment facilities in the country today in Boca Raton, Florida. I'm called all over the country today to share my story. None of that stuff matters. I don't have labels. What I do have a label as is that I'm a person who could go around and carry a message of hope to each and every one of you kids. I know that you kids have been through some traumatizing things. I know there's kids in here that are embarrassed and afraid and guilty and shameful and remorseful of all the things that are going on under their roof right now. I know what you're going through. I'm here to tell you that you could talk about that stuff and that you can get free from that stuff. We're going to give you a solution, and we're going to give you an out. We're going to give you an avenue. We're going to leave our business cards here. You can pick them up off Miss Sloan, and then you can get a hold of each. You can get a hold of us whenever you want. We're here to help you, or we're here to help your mom or your dad or your loved ones. Let's help each other out. Don't ever let anybody knock you down. Don't ever let anybody tell you that you ain't worth nothing. Don't ever let anybody tell you that you're ugly. Don't ever let anybody tell you that you're stupid. They're all liars. They're all liars. You could do whatever you want to do in this life. You could do whatever you want to do in this life. It's up to you to stand up, take the bull by the horns, and change the course of history. Each and every one of you guys are the future of this country. Don't let us down. Move forward. Everybody in this crowd is looking for a leader. They're looking for somebody to follow. Be the one who stands up and stands out and leads the pack in a positive fashion. Be the one who brings the United States and brings our children up out of this mess. Be the leader that you were called to be, because each and every one of you guys have the potential to.
You guys pick what describes you. You guys define yourselves. It does not matter what other people say to you. You define yourself. It does not matter what you were defined by yesterday. You can decide to be something differently today. We're going to leave you with this. Make up your mind that no matter what comes your way, no matter how difficult, no matter how unfair, you will do more than simply survive. You will thrive in spite of it. No matter what your circumstances are, no matter what your situation, you can thrive in life. Life is so much more beautiful than just surviving. There's a lot out there if you just go out and chase it. Do you guys have any?
And that's about it. If anybody has questions and wants to come up here and ask us anything, if you're too embarrassed to ask us in person, don't be afraid to track down Mr. DeMoss or Miss Sloan or any of the other teachers and pass that message along to them. Everything that you tell them will be completely discreet and confidential. If we can help you or your family members, you better let us know, because we're here to help. We didn't come here to blow our own horns. We didn't come here to show off or anything else. We came here to be an avenue, and we came here to be a light for each and every one of you kids.
You know, it takes a lot of guts to get up here in the front of people that you don't know and talk about the things you've done wrong in your life. And the story, listen, and the story that they shared with you today, I know without a doubt impacts everybody in this room. In one way or another, it does. Let's give them one more round of applause for sharing today.